As I sat across from my boyfriend at the dimly lit restaurant, watching him smile and laugh with friends, my heart swelled with pride. His journey had been long and arduous, marked by battles with inner demons and a relentless determination to overcome them. This coming spring, he would be celebrating 8 years of sobriety, a milestone that had transformed not only his life but mine as well. When I met him, his struggle with alcohol was evident, but even then, he exuded an inner strength. He promised to give up drinking, and he did, embracing a sober life with remarkable tenacity. Tonight was supposed to be one of those carefree nights, filled with laughter and good food, a night for us to celebrate his unwavering willpower and the joy of being surrounded by close friends. For him, even ordering a simple drink like a Virgin Caesar, just for the taste of it without any of the alcohol, was a small triumph, a reminder of his strength. As the evening wore on, he enjoyed his drink, savoring it with every sip, completely unaware of what lay beneath the surface of the glass. The end of the night came, and as the waiter dropped off our bill, I watched my boyfriend's face shift. He stared down at the receipt, his eyes scanning over the itemized list, and then he looked up with confusion. My eyes followed his gaze, and there it was, a Caesar listed with a price that suggested something had gone horribly wrong. It wasn't a Virgin Caesar at all. It was the real thing, complete with vodka, the one thing he had fought so hard to avoid for years. As the realization sank in, a cold dread washed over me. He had unknowingly consumed alcohol after all this time, after all these years of carefully staying away from it. My mind immediately filled with the consequences this moment might bring. I looked over at the waiter, who had paled, an expression of horror frozen on his face. He apologized profusely, realizing his grave mistake. But nothing he could say could erase the fact that my boyfriend, who had fought so valiantly to rebuild his life from the ground up, had unwittingly consumed the very substance he had fought to avoid. My boyfriend's reaction was calm, a strange stillness that covered him like armor. I could sense the storm raging beneath the surface, though. He had spent years breaking free from addiction's grip, redefining himself and his life. Now, all those memories, all that pain, the countless moments he had fought through cravings and doubts, came crashing back. I felt helpless, my heart breaking for him, knowing that this wasn't his fault but fearing what it might mean for his journey. That drive home was a quiet one. He held my hand, gripping it tighter than usual, as though grounding himself, and I could feel his pain through his silence. My mind was a tumultuous mix of emotions, anger at the waiter's mistake, fear for what this could mean for him, and a deep sadness for the memories it had dredged up. Part of me wanted to scream, to find some way to undo the moment that had passed, to take away the hurt he was feeling. When we got home, he spoke softly, steady and resolute. He made it clear that he wouldn't allow this to derail him, that he refused to give it power over him. His strength in that moment humbled me. After all these years, his resilience was unwavering. He knew how far he had come, and he wasn't going to let a simple mistake take that away from him. He had been through the darkest days of his life and had emerged stronger and more resilient than I ever imagined. But beneath his determination, I could feel the weight of this unintentional slip-up. A history of addiction is never truly left behind. It lingers like an echo, a shadow that darkens even the brightest of moments. For him, the realization that he had consumed alcohol, however inadvertently, likely brought back memories of those days when he felt lost, battling impulses that threatened to consume him. I wanted to reach out and take away every ounce of guilt, to reassure him that he was still the man he had become, that this didn't erase any of the hard work he had put in. That night, I barely slept. I couldn't shake the image of him sitting across from me, blissfully unaware of the drink he was consuming. I felt a hollow ache in my chest, a desperate need to protect him, to somehow reverse what had happened. The fear that this accidental drink might awaken something dormant within him was suffocating. I knew how far he had come, and the thought of him backsliding was unbearable. The next morning, he seemed calm and composed, determined to move forward without letting this slip-up define him. But I could see the faint tension around his eyes, the way his smile didn't quite reach them. He was putting on a brave face, not only for himself but for me as well, trying to shield me from the internal struggle he was facing. Over the next few days, I found myself oscillating between hope and worry. He remained strong, resolute in his commitment to stay sober, but I couldn't shake the lingering dread. Each time he left the house, I felt a pang of anxiety, wondering if he would return the same man or if this unintentional drink had stirred something within him that would eventually lead him down a darker path. I hated feeling this way, feeling like I was waiting for the other shoe to drop, but the fear was unrelenting. I thought back on our journey together, on the moments that had defined our relationship. I remembered the countless nights when he had confided in me, sharing stories of his struggles, of the battles he had fought with himself. He had come so far, transforming into a man of such strength and integrity, someone who faced his past with honesty and resilience. And now, with one careless mistake, it felt as though all of that was hanging in the balance. The people around us were supportive, offering words of encouragement and reassurance. But I knew they couldn't fully understand what he was going through, nor the deep-seated fear I carried within me. Addiction is a battle fought in solitude, a struggle that others can empathize with but never fully grasp. I did my best to be there for him, to provide a safe space where he could process his emotions, but I often felt like my efforts were inadequate. In the days that followed, I tried to remind myself that he was still the man who had conquered his addiction, that he hadn't changed. I clung to the hope that his resolve was strong enough to withstand this setback, that he was, as he had always been, a fighter. And yet, the fear lingered, a constant presence in the background, like a shadow that refused to fade. Over time, I began to realize that this moment, as painful as it was, didn't define him. His strength wasn't diminished by an accidental drink. If anything, his resilience in facing this challenge head-on was a testament to his growth. He had built a life he was proud of, a life he had worked tirelessly to reclaim, and one mistake wouldn't take that away. I knew that he would continue to face challenges, that sobriety was a journey with no endpoint. But I also knew that he was strong enough to endure. For my part, I resolved to stand by him, to support him as he navigated this unexpected detour. I had chosen to be with him, knowing his past, embracing both his strengths and his vulnerabilities. This experience had shaken me, but it had also reaffirmed my commitment to him, to the life we were building together. I would be there by his side, no matter what challenges lay ahead.